What small habit, if done, every day can lead to the biggest personal improvement? Watch the video to the end to learn what mistakes to avoid when saving money. Like and subscribe. Enjoy watching. The chair in my bedroom is turned into a real clothes magnet. Everything I take off somehow ends up there. But last year I started to follow the rule of my friend's grandmother. Don't put it down, put it back. At first, it seemed like an eternity to hang a shirt in the closet instead of throwing it on the chair. But gradually I noticed that my apartment looks like a real adult lives here, not a chaotic student. Now the morning search for socks, which used to take 15 minutes, is history. And the best bonus is that I can invite a girl out without panicking. Oh my God, she's going to see my mess. 15 minutes of expressive writing every day changed my life dramatically after I was fired. When I was kicked out of my job without warning, I started writing down not the dry facts about what happened, but my deepest emotions about it: anger, fear, frustration, anger at injustice. After 2 months of such therapy on paper, I not only stopped waking up in a cold sweat thinking about the future, but also found a new position much faster than half of my former colleagues. Studies show that people who are engaged in expressive writing find jobs faster, and I am now living proof of this statistic. It turns out that when you pour all the chaos out of your head onto a page, your mind starts working much more clearly. Do your fucking dishes every day? This mantra has become my life motto after years of struggling with mountains of dishes. I used to cunningly limit myself to only 4 plates in the cupboard because otherwise the mountain of unwashed dishes would grow to cosmic proportions in a week. But even so, I would find myself in a situation where I wanted to eat and all the plates were dirty. Now, washing after every meal has become as automatic as brushing my teeth. The best part is that I can spontaneously invite friends over for dinner without having to panic wash the dishes for an hour. It turns out that it's easier to maintain cleanliness than to clean up a disaster. My addiction to Coca-Cola smoothly turned into an addiction to soda, and in a year I lost 18 kilograms without dieting. At first, I thought I needed sugar for life, but in reality, my body just wanted the bubbles and the pleasure of opening a can. Now my fridge is full of sodas of all possible flavors, from lime to grapefruit. Ordinary cola has become a real holiday dessert, which I drink at most once a month. It's funny, but my friend now drinks 20 cans of soda per day off and always at room temperature. He says it goes down faster and is better absorbed. $100 a month for a retirement account seems like a ridiculous amount for a young guy without much money. But after 6 months of this practice, I already feel more financially responsible than most adults. The most horrifying discovery came when I checked my total savings last week. It turned out that my strategic plan in case of a financial crisis sounds like "wee" and nothing else. But now at least I have a plan B, even if it's still tiny. In a year, it will be decent money, and in 5 years, it will be a real airbag. The rule, if it takes less than 2 minutes, do it now, has radically changed my approach to procrastination. Yesterday, I was heating food for 3 minutes in the microwave and suddenly realized that this time is just enough to completely unload the dishwasher. It used to seem like it would take at least 10 minutes of laborious work. Now I use every pause productively. While boiling water for pasta, I vacuum the living room. While waiting for a rest period in the game, I prepare pots for the next meal and wipe the table. The best realization is that it's not wasted time at all, because I would have just stared at the timer or scrolled through my phone. Becoming a person who flosses every day is like joining a secret club of arrogant nerds with perfect hygiene. Whenever the dentist traditionally asks, "Do you floss every day?" Swingingly, I am undisguisedly proud to say yes, instead of the usual shame and lie of sometimes. My mouth really feels much better, but the funniest thing happened at a friend's party. After pizza, one guy suddenly took out his floss and started flossing right on the couch. On someone else's couch. I didn't know whether to laugh at such self-confidence or applaud such dedication to oral hygiene. Now I read tips about sleeping while lying in bed with a phone, and I fully understand the irony of the situation. A bed should be used exclusively for sleeping, not for reading, watching TV shows, or endlessly scrolling through social media. But here I am, lying in bed at 1:30 in the morning, continuing to read, even though I know full well that it ruins my sleep quality and throws off my circadian rhythms. I should have taken my own advice and gone to the couch to finish reading, but it's so comfortable here, so warm under the covers. I continue to scroll further in bed like a real rebel against a healthy lifestyle and quality rest. A family of friends collected all the small coins in an ordinary glass jar for 5 years and finally exchanged all this treasure for $926. A fortune out of nothing. I was inspired by this, although in reality I would have accumulated a maximum of $5 in change in 5 years because I use cash less often than dinosaurs fly through the sky. My card is everywhere. I even pay for coffee contactless. But I still put the red jar by the front door in case a miracle happens and small coins start appearing in my jeans pockets after the laundry. The Plant Nanny app made me feel really guilty about all my hydration sins. The virtual plants were dying one by one, brutally demonstrating how catastrophically little water I actually consume every day. I downloaded the app thinking it would be a fun game with cute plants, but instead I got daily remorse from the dead cacti on my phone screen. Each dead plant is a reminder of my dehydration. Now every glass of water I drink is not just about taking care of my own health, but about heroically saving my digital life. Who would have thought that ordinary pixels could motivate you to drink more fluid so effectively? I used to be a chronic procrastinator who was always late and suffered from paralyzing indecision. That's who I was before the painful breakup with my girlfriend. Now, every evening, I carefully plan the next day to the smallest detail. I check the weather forecast, study the calendar of meetings, carefully pack my gym bag with my work clothes, and lay out my sports uniform on a chair. In the morning, I get up and just keep going. A quick coffee, a protein bar on the go, the gym, a shower, the road to work. Instead of stumbling into the office at 8:10 in the morning like a half-asleep zombie with disheveled hair, I confidently walk into the office at 7:50 with my brain in full gear. All thanks to the evening planning and preparation. I grew up in a house that could have been on the top of the worst episodes of a program about compulsive hoarders, so now I have to say the mantra out loud. Take it and put it back where it belongs, for every sock, grocery bag, or empty bottle. It took me years of psychotherapy to learn how to keep my own home clean without panic attacks. My parents would still not believe me if I told them that I made my bed every day for a year in a row. For them, it would be an incredible fact, because as a child I could live for weeks in the midst of a chaos of things. Now, everything put in its place is a small victory over my inherited tendency to clutter. My calendar has become a real piggy bank, where I throw all the small change from my bank card. If I have £185 and 89 pence in my account, I transfer £5 and 89 pence to savings, leaving exactly 180. I do this several times a week, and the amount actually accumulates faster than I expected. The best thing about this method is that it never feels like a loss. Who would notice that £5 or £8 are missing from the account? And over the course of a year, it turns out to be a decent amount for a rainy day or a long-awaited vacation to warm countries. The microwave became my secret productivity timer after I realized this simple truth. I heat the food for 3 minutes, which is exactly how long it takes to unload the dishwasher completely. I wait for the water to boil for tea, so I have time to vacuum the entire living room. I even use the time I spend playing online games to put the pots away and prepare for the next meal. I used to just stare at the timers, but now every minute of waiting has turned into an opportunity to do something useful. The house stays clean almost effortlessly because all tasks are performed in the dead time that was previously wasted. I put a glass jar for small coins in the hallway after an inspirational story about $900 in 5 years of collecting. The only problem is that I live in an era of cashless payments. I even pay for coffee with a card or phone. In 3 months, a miserable 90 cents has accumulated in the bank, which got lost in my pockets after the laundry. My friends laughed that I would rather win the lottery than save a decent amount of change. But the jar stands as a symbol of hope and a reminder that money used to be physical, not numbers on a smartphone screen. Maybe someday coins will come back into my life again. Every morning, a glass of water has become a ritual that starts my day off right. I keep a bottle by my bedside to restore my water balance immediately after waking up after an 8-hour fast. The body thanks me for this with an instant burst of energy and clarity of mind. I used to drink coffee first thing in the morning, but it turned out that I had to wake up my kidneys and liver with clean water first. Coffee now becomes the second stage of the morning ritual, and it tastes much better after the body has received what it really needs. A simple glass of water has turned sleepy mornings into a vigorous start to the day. Going to sleep and waking up at the same time every day has changed the quality of my life dramatically, although at first it seemed like an impossible task. As a person who has suffered from insomnia for years, I can attest that regularity is more important than sleep duration. Even if I go to bed late, I still get up at 7 in the morning without exception. The first few weeks were hellish, but gradually my body adapted to a clear schedule. Now I fall asleep in 15 minutes instead of the previous 2 hours of tossing and turning in bed. Cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia really works. You just need to have patience and iron discipline. Taking the stairs instead of the elevator has turned into a daily mini-workout and a source of childhood joy at the same time. I live on the 8th floor, so every climb is a real cardio challenge for my legs and lungs. But the best feeling is when I overtake people on the escalator in the subway, walking alongside them. They are slowly traveling, and I am dynamically walking past them with a winner's smile. Sometimes I even go up the escalator, but walking on it makes me feel like Superman flying upwards at superhuman speed. My legs have become much stronger, and my shortness of breath on the stairs is a thing of the past. The evening to-do list for tomorrow has become my weapon against procrastination and chaotic life. I write down everything, from work tasks to household chores, from meetings to personal goals for the day. In the morning, I open the notebook and know exactly what I have to do for the next 16 hours. The process of crossing off completed items is the most satisfying. It's like a small dopamine hit for each achievement. When I stopped making lists a month ago, I instantly felt my life became disorganized and my productivity dropped threefold. I returned to the practice and felt like a person in control of my own life again. 3 new Spanish words a day doesn't seem like much, but in a month it's already 90 words of active vocabulary. I use various apps, TV shows with subtitles, and conversations with native speakers online. The funniest thing is that when my friends say, "Que bien, amigo," swing, I already understand not only the words, but also the intonation, context, and cultural connotations. But when someone jokes, "Cerveza, por favor," in a bar, I respond with a whole phrase about what kind of beer I want and why. The waiters often raise their eyebrows in surprise. They didn't expect an ordinary tourist to know more than standard tourist phrases. Language opens the door to new acquaintances and cultures. The diary brought me back to reality after months of living on autopilot. When I felt that life was on the right course, I stopped writing and instantly slipped into bad habits. Alcohol, cigarettes, endless games until the morning. I fell into a thoughtless state that led to serious memory problems and dissociation from reality. The diary forces you to be honest with yourself without embellishment or self-deception. You don't write for someone else. You don't try to look better. You just put your thoughts and emotions on paper. It's like psychotherapy, only free and available around the clock. I especially recommend it to people with anxiety. It helps to organize the chaos in their minds. Helping less fortunate people without expectation of gratitude has become my daily dose of humility and reality. It doesn't have to be something big, helping to carry an old lady's bags, buying lunch for a homeless person, listening to a colleague's problems without giving advice or judgment. It is the most therapeutic and useful thing I do in my life. When you see the real problems of other people, your own troubles no longer seem catastrophic. It also reminds me how lucky I really am with my birth circumstances, health, and opportunities. Helping others is an investment in your own mental health and adequate perception of the world. For 563 days in a row, I have been studying Italian in a mobile application for 15 minutes every morning and evening before going to bed. I have completed a full course of one language and am now 2/5 of the way through the second. The most incredible moment happened in the subway, when I was reading a book over a stranger's shoulder and only halfway through the page realized that I was reading in Italian. My brain automatically translated the text without signaling me to change the language. The feeling of pride in my own progress was indescribable, from complete zero to understanding complex texts in less than 2 years of daily practice. Dwight Schrute's philosophy has become my life compass. Before doing anything, ask yourself, would an idiot do it? Do I want to smoke? I ask myself. Do I want to skip class for the sake of the series? I ask myself. Procrastination, self-sabotage, worrying about things out of your control. This simple filter has an answer for everything. True, idiots also breathe, so you need to understand the context and not take the principle to the point of absurdity. But for most life situations, it works flawlessly. If an action is objectively idiotic, don't do it. It's as simple as that. 30 minutes a day on a musical instrument transformed my attitude to music and discipline in general. I bought a cheap guitar and started with simple chords that sounded like torturing cats at first. But gradually, my fingers became more nimble and the melodies more melodic. The best feeling is when I sit down with my guitar after a hard day and just play, forgetting about everything in the world. Music has become meditation, anti-stress, and a source of creativity at the same time. My friends are already asking me to play something at parties, even though a year ago I couldn't even play the right chord. The 2-minute rule has changed my home beyond recognition without any drastic efforts. I saw a dirty plate and washed it immediately. I noticed dust on the table and immediately wiped it off. Scattered clothes, straight to the hamper or closet. Previously, all this accumulated for weeks, turning the apartment into a disaster zone. Now I keep the place clean almost effortlessly because each task takes a minimum of time. The secret is that 2 minutes is actually a lot of time for most household chores. And psychologically, it's easier to do something now than to carry it around in your head as an unfinished task. Brushing my teeth has become a ritual with its own motto. Brush only the teeth you want to keep. The dentist literally said this to me after my next visit with caries, and the phrase stuck in my head forever. Now every time I'm too lazy to get out my toothbrush before bed, I imagine my toothless old age and chewing soft food for the rest of my life. I'm instantly motivated. Morning and evening brushing have become so automatic that even when I go on business trips, the first thing I pack is a toothbrush and toothpaste. My teeth will thank me in 20 years when my peers will go to the dentist. Correcting my posture started with pain, continued with pain and still hurts, but my back no longer looks like a question mark. Years of sitting at the computer turned me into a shrimp with lowered shoulders and a neck that stretches forward. Every hour I set a reminder to straighten your shoulders on my phone and consciously control the position of my spine. During the first months, my muscles screamed from the unusual work. They were used to holding the wrong posture. But gradually, my body adapted, and now the correct posture is becoming natural. People started saying that I looked taller and more confident, even though my height hadn't changed a centimeter. Planning my day in a notebook every morning turned chaos into structure in a matter of weeks. I get up 15 minutes early, make coffee, and write down everything I plan to do during the day, from work meetings to going to the gym. The sweetest pleasure is crossing off the completed items with a green pen in the evening. When the list is completely crossed off, I feel like a winner in life. And if something remains unfulfilled, I carry it over to the next day with an analysis of why I didn't have time, what prevented me, and how to plan better. The notebook has become my personal coach and motivator at the same time. Walking with the dog twice a day saved us both from depression and excess weight. I used to just let the dog out in the yard for 5 minutes, but now we explore the neighborhood together for 30 minutes every morning and evening. He enjoys new smells and new acquaintances, and I get cardio and fresh air after a day at the office. I bought comfortable sneakers for any weather because it turned out that there is no bad weather for walking, only the wrong clothes. The dog lost weight, I lost weight, and we both became happier and healthier. I also began to notice the changes in seasons, birds, flowers, things I hadn't paid attention to for years. Giving up sugary drinks for water had an unexpected result. I lost more weight than I had planned and feel more energetic. I replaced Coca-Cola with plain water without fanaticism or specific diets. Just when I wanted to drink something sweet, I poured a glass of water and waited 5 minutes. In 90% of cases, my thirst disappeared completely. My body just needed fluids, not sugar. Weight began to decrease without additional effort. My skin became clearer, and my energy no longer fluctuated throughout the day. Now, sweet soda is a festive, exceptional dessert, not a daily habit. Cycling to and from work has changed my attitude to transportation and physical activity dramatically. 10 to 15 kilometers a day seemed impossible, but it turned out that it was only 10 minutes longer than driving a car in traffic. But I save on fuel, get daily cardio, and stress relief after office conflicts. The best feeling is when I overtake jammed cars by pedaling in a special lane for cyclists. The drivers look out of their windows angrily, but I smile and keep going. In winter, it is more difficult, but thermal underwear and the right jacket solve the problem. 30 minutes of any kind of exercise every day has become the basis of a new lifestyle without gym memberships. I started with simple push-ups, sit-ups, and planks at home before going to bed. When these exercises became easy, he added running up the stairs, jumping, and stretching. After 3 months, my body began to change visibly. My muscles became defined, my endurance increased, and my mood improved. You don't need expensive exercise equipment or personal trainers. Your own body weight is enough for a beginner. The main thing is regularity, not intensity or complexity of the exercises. Controlling my diet without fanatical diets gave me a stable result of -8 kilograms in 4 months. I just started to pay attention to what I eat and in what quantities, without completely banning my favorite foods. I keep a food diary on my phone. I write down everything, even small snacks and drinks. This helped me realize how many extra calories I consume unconsciously. Now I eat more slowly, enjoying the taste rather than automatically eating in front of the TV. Water instead of juice, smaller portions, more vegetables. Simple changes without radical prohibitions. Eating lunch from home instead of a cafe not only saves money, but also improves your health in unexpected ways. $5 to $10 for lunch seems like a trifle, but in a month it's $150 to $300. Over the course of a year, you get $1,500, which you can use to go on vacation. I cook simple meals in the evenings. Rice with vegetables, pasta with meat, salads with chicken. I pack them in containers and take them to work. At first it seemed strange to my colleagues, but now several people have adopted this practice. The food is tastier, healthier, and cheaper than restaurant food. The principle of don't put it down, put it back up saved my apartment from turning into a warehouse of unnecessary things. Everything I use, I immediately return to where I got it from. Keys to the hook, dishes to the cupboard, clothes to the chest of drawers. It seems simple, but it takes conscious concentration for the first few months. Now it's become an automatic reflex, and the house always looks tidy even without a general cleaning. My friends wonder how I manage to maintain such order, and the secret is simple. I don't allow any mess at all. Trying to get rejected once a day taught me not to be afraid of no and to get yes more often. A photography professor advised me to ask for permission to take pictures in unusual places, expecting a refusal, but often getting consent. I started applying this to my everyday life, asking for discounts in stores, a pass to a crowded restaurant without a reservation, and the possibility of postponing a deadline at work. Surprisingly, people agree more often than they refuse, especially if you ask politely and with a smile. And if they say no, it's not painful because that's exactly what I expected. The fear of rejection turned out to be much worse than the rejection itself. Reading at least one article about self-development every day broadened my outlook and gave me practical tools for life. Not necessarily whole books, even short articles on your phone while traveling or during a lunch break. I learned about productivity techniques, psychological life hacks, financial advice, and healthy habits. The main thing is not just to read, but to apply at least one idea from each article. My brain started working differently, and I developed new interests and hobbies. Instead of scrolling through social media, I now read something useful, the same time, but much more productive. Meditating for 5 minutes every morning has become a better way to get ready for the day than any coffee. At first, it seemed incomprehensible and boring, just sitting with your eyes closed and listening to your breath. But gradually, I learned to observe my thoughts without getting emotionally involved in them. My anxiety decreased, my concentration improved, and my reactions to stressful situations became calmer. I use free apps with guided meditations for beginners. 5 minutes every morning is less time than I spend scrolling through the news, but the benefits are incomparably greater. Learning one new fact every day has made conversations with people more interesting and meaningful. I read encyclopedic articles, watch popular science videos, and listen to podcasts about history, science, and culture. In the morning, I choose the topic of the day and deepen my knowledge in this area. It turned out that interesting facts help me start a conversation with strangers, maintain a dialogue at parties, and give the impression of an erudite person. And most importantly, the world became much more interesting and richer when I started to consciously explore it instead of passively consuming content. Morning facial exercises have become an unexpected discovery in the fight against aging and bad mood at the same time. 5 minutes of massage and facial muscle exercises in front of the mirror, and your skin looks fresher, and your expression becomes more positive. At first, I felt like an idiot grimacing in front of the mirror, but the results speak for themselves. Morning swelling has disappeared, fine lines and wrinkles have decreased, and my skin color has improved. And when I do these exercises with a smile, my mood automatically rises. My brain thinks that if I smile, I must be happy. Washing one item every day has changed my wardrobe and attitude to household chores dramatically. Instead of accumulating a mountain of laundry over the course of a week, I throw one shirt, a pair of socks, or a towel into the machine every day. The machine runs at low speed, saving water and electricity, and I always have clean clothes. The best part is that I am never without my favorite t-shirt or jeans, because everything is constantly in rotation. Laundry used to be a monster task on the weekends, but now it's a 5-minute, stress-free chore. Drying is also faster. One thing dries in a few hours instead of a whole day for a full drum. Turning off your phone an hour before bedtime has dramatically improved your sleep quality and morning well-being. The blue light of the screen suppresses melatonin production, so the brain does not prepare for sleep even late at night. Instead of scrolling through social media, I read a paper book, listened to calm music, or just lie in silence thinking about the day. I fall asleep faster, sleep deeper, and wake up easier without an alarm. In the morning, there's no temptation to grab the phone and get bogged down in the news. I spend the first hours of the day consciously and productively. My grandfather's pocket knife became my life's compass after I started sharpening it every day with one movement on a special stone. Not because I use it often, but because this ritual reminds me of the importance of keeping things in perfect condition. 3 movements of the steel on the stone and the knife is razor sharp again. It's the same with skills, relationships, and knowledge. If you don't maintain them every day, they become dull. My colleagues laugh at my grandfatherly hobby, but when they need to cut something in the office, everyone turns to me. A sharp knife is a metaphor for being ready for any challenge in life. I started collecting stones during my walks, but not just any stones, only those that fit perfectly in my palm. Smooth from the river, rough from the road, warm from the beach. I already have a whole collection of such perfect stones in a glass jar on my desk. When I'm nervous or thinking about a difficult decision, I run my fingers through them like a rosary. Each stone reminds me of the place where I found it and the emotions of that day. It is a living map of my travels and moods that cost 0 hryvnias. My friends bring me stones from their travels, and now it's our tradition to share our memories. I always remove one extra word in every email before sending it. Thank you very much becomes thank you. Maybe you should turns into should. This habit was born out of a hatred of paperwork and a love of brevity. My emails became clearer, my messages more understandable, and my thoughts more precise. My colleagues began to praise my professional communication style without knowing about this little editing secret. It turned out that it was much harder to remove unnecessary things than to add new ones. Each letter became a miniature literary work. My mother always checked if the door was locked before going to bed, and I check if the gas is off on the stove. Even if I didn't cook anything today, I still go to the kitchen and check all the burners. It has become a sacred ritual of safety before going to bed. My friends say it's paranoia, but the peace of mind is worth a minute of time. I never have to wake up in the middle of the night thinking, did I turn off the gas for sure? Sleep becomes deeper when you know that everything is under control. Safety from childhood has turned into an adult responsibility. At lunch, I always eat one spoonful with my eyes closed, concentrating only on the taste. Sweet, sour, bitter, salty. All the shades become brighter when you can't see the food. It's like wine tasting, only with borscht or pasta. Food is no longer a background process while reading or watching TV. One spoonful of mindfulness makes the whole meal more delicious. The chef in the cafe was surprised when he praised the hidden notes of cumin in the sauce. He just noticed something that usually goes unnoticed. Every morning, when I brush my teeth, I stand on one leg like a stork. At first, it was just a silly thing to entertain myself during a boring procedure. But it turned out that my balance improved, my stabilizer muscles became stronger, and my coordination became more acute. 3 minutes every morning on one leg is a miniature training of the vestibular system. Now I can stand for a long time in crowded transport without support, without swaying. The bathroom has become a gym, and the toothbrush has become a balance trainer. I always put my phone face down when I'm sitting at a table with people. I don't turn it off or put it on silent. I just turn it over. This symbolic gesture shows, you are more important than all the messages in the world. People notice this and reciprocate. Conversations become deeper, meetings more qualitative, and relationships closer. Sometimes someone calls, but the invisible screen doesn't tempt you to answer immediately. The rotary phone has become a symbol of respect for live communication in the age of digital distraction. My alarm clock doesn't beep, doesn't play music. It just turns on the lamp by my bed. I wake up to the light, like our ancestors did to the sun, not to a sharp sound. It is gentler on the nervous system and more natural for biological rhythms. Mornings have become calmer, without the adrenaline stress of an aggressive call. Sleep ends gradually and organically, not with a sharp blow to the psyche. Even in cloudy weather, the artificial sun in the room gives you the feeling of a new day. A simple timer with a lamp works better than the most expensive alarm clocks. When I get on the bus, I always thank the driver, and when I get off, I wish them a good day. They rarely hear nice words from passengers. Most drivers smile and thank me in return. Some even remember me and greet me first. Public transportation has stopped being an anonymous movement in space and has turned into short-term human encounters. Drivers became not invisible functions, but real people with emotions and bad days. Sometimes my gratitude is the only pleasant thing they hear for a shift. I keep one shirt in my closet that I never wear. It's for a special occasion. But instead of waiting for that mystical moment, I declared every Wednesday a special day and put on my best clothes just for fun. My colleagues ask me in surprise, "Do you have a job interview today?" And I answer, "No, it's just Wednesday." It turned out that when you dress festively, your mood automatically rises and your self-esteem grows. Why wait for your friend's wedding to wear your favorite shirt? Wednesday also deserves beauty and elegance. In every queue, in a store, bank, hospital, I always talk to the person in front or behind me, not intrusively, just commenting on the situation. "It's a long line today," or "It's nice weather outside." 9 out of 10 people respond, and an interesting conversation often ensues. I've learned so many stories from random interlocutors. A grandmother told me about the war, a student about the university, a mother about raising children. Queues are no longer wasted time and have turned into opportunities for human encounters and exchange of experience. Every evening I write one sentence in my diary, no more, no less. Today's rain reminded me of my childhood. A colleague told a funny joke about cats. I found a new way home through the park. One sentence does not frighten with its length, but after a year, a whole book of life accumulates. I read old entries and wonder how much is forgotten without recording. Every day has its own unique detail. You just have to notice and write it down. The diary has become not a duty, but a pleasant tradition of preserving memories. Instead of the usual, "How was your day?" I ask my loved ones, "What was the best thing that happened today?" This makes you look for the positive even on a difficult day. Instead of complaining about problems, people recall pleasant moments. Delicious coffee, a compliment from a stranger, a beautiful sunset. The atmosphere of conversations has become more optimistic, and relationships have become warmer. It turned out that there are always good things. You just need to learn to notice and voice them. This question became a magic formula for turning daily dialogues into a source of positive emotions. Every time I turn on the tap, I think about people who don't have access to clean water. Not for self-torture, but to realize the value of simple things. Water has ceased to be something to take for granted and has become a gift of civilization. I use it more sparingly and appreciate every drop. It's a short meditation of gratitude in the middle of an ordinary day. Simple, everyday actions take on a deeper meaning when you remember their true value. The tap has become a portal to reflect on the privileges of modern life. My tea mug has a crack that I could have glued over, but I don't do it on purpose. This crack is reminiscent of the Japanese philosophy of wabi-sabi, the beauty of imperfection and transience. The mug has become unique because of its flaw, just as people become interesting because of their peculiarities. Not everything has to be perfect to be beautiful. The crack became my daily reminder to accept the imperfections of the world and myself. Sometimes the broken can be more beautiful than the whole if you look at it from the right angle. Keeping a financial diary has shown me where my money really goes and allowed me to optimize my spending without sacrificing anything. I record every purchase in the app immediately after payment, from large purchases to coffee and a vending machine. A month later, I saw a shocking picture. Most of the money goes to small, spontaneous purchases, not to large planned expenses. Coffee on the go, snacks in the store, impulse purchases of clothes make up the lion's share of the budget. Now I plan my expenses in advance and rarely fall for marketing tricks. Savings accumulate naturally. Morning eye exercises have reduced computer fatigue and improved my eyesight significantly. 5 minutes of simple exercises, focusing on near and far objects, circular movements of the eyeballs, rapid blinking, eyelid massage. By the end of the working day, her eyes stopped reddening and dryness and burning disappeared. The ophthalmologist confirmed that my eyesight is not deteriorating, even though I spend 10 hours a day behind screens. I do exercises not only in the morning but also during work breaks every 2 hours. At first, my colleagues were surprised, but now several people have adopted this useful habit. Walking to the nearest park every day instead of traveling by public transport has added 30 minutes of physical activity to my life unnoticed. I live a kilometer away from the green zone, and it used to take me 5 minutes by bus, but now it takes me 15 minutes on foot. The round trip is already half an hour of cardio every day without special training. I have time to think about business, listen to podcasts, and get some fresh air after a stuffy office. My legs have become stronger, my endurance has increased, and my mood has improved. I still go in bad weather. I bought a high-quality jacket and umbrella. Washing my face with cold water every morning has become a natural energy drink without side effects and addiction. The temperature contrast instantly activates blood circulation, tightens pores, and improves complexion. The skin became less oily, inflammation and blackening under the eyes decreased. And most importantly, it's like an internal sleep switch that works instantly. No need to wait for coffee or energy drink to work. A second of discomfort means a whole day of vigor and freshness. Even in the heat, this procedure brings relief and cooling. The rule, no phone for the first 30 minutes of the day, changed my morning routine from chaotic to conscious and calm. The first thing I used to do after waking up was grab my smartphone and immerse myself in a stream of news, messages, and notifications. My brain immediately switched to reaction mode instead of planning. Now I get up, take a shower, have breakfast, plan my day in a notebook, and only then look at what's going on in the world. My mornings are calmer, my thoughts are clearer, and my mood is more stable. The phone has turned from a household item into a tool. Listening to one new song every day has expanded my musical horizons and enriched my emotional life unexpectedly. I use the recommendation algorithms of streaming services, the advice of friends, and random finds in cafes or movies. I discovered genres I didn't even know about: jazz fusion, Scandinavian folk, Latin American electronica. Music has become a soundtrack to different moods and situations. And when I meet people, there are always topics for conversation and exchange of recommendations. The world has become richer in sounds and emotions. Preparing clothes for tomorrow in the evening has turned the morning gathering from a panic into a calm, stress-free routine. I check the weather forecast, look at the calendar of events, and choose a suitable outfit for the evening. My shirt is ironed and hung up, my shoes are shined, and my accessories are selected. In the morning, I just get dressed and go instead of going through the entire closet looking for something suitable. I'm never late because I have nothing to wear and I don't leave the house looking untidy. And the evening ritual of getting ready relaxes me and sets me up for the day ahead in a positive way. The practice of saying no without explanation or excuse has freed me from toxic obligations and false politeness forever. For years, I said yes to everything: extra work, boring events, lending money to friends, helping with weekend travel. He was afraid of offending people by refusing, so he overloaded himself with other people's problems. A friend taught me to just say, "I don't want to do it," without complicated explanations. At first, it seemed rude, but people began to respect my boundaries more than when I made excuses. Time and energy were freed up for really important things and people. A daily 5-minute foot massage before going to bed has improved my sleep quality and reduced my back pain in an unexpectedly effective way. I use a tennis ball or a special roller and knead each foot from heel to toe with light pressure. The feet have reflex points associated with all the organs of the body, so the massage acts as a general relaxation. My feet stopped swelling after a long day, calluses and corns disappeared, and blood circulation improved. And most importantly, I fall asleep faster and sleep deeper because my body receives a signal to relax through my feet. The procedure is pleasant and meditative after a busy day. The rule, "buy only what I will use in the next month," saved me from consumerism and filled closets with unnecessary things. Before every purchase, I ask myself, Will I use this within 30 days? If the answer is maybe or I'll need it someday, I don't buy it. The house stopped turning into a warehouse of impulsive purchases and the budget became more predictable. It turned out that most of the things that seemed necessary in the store were not needed at all in real life. I buy less but of better quality and with a specific purpose. Writing 3 pages of stream of consciousness in the morning cleared my head of mental garbage and unleashed my creative potential. Julia Cameron's morning pages technique is to write whatever comes to mind without editing or self-censorship. Worries, plans, emotions, memories, everything spills out on paper chaotically and honestly. After a month of practice, my head is clearer, decisions are easier to make, and creative ideas appear more often. It's like a daily cleansing of the mind from accumulated stress and unresolved thoughts. The notebook has become my therapist and creative partner at the same time. A daily hour without any gadgets brought me back to the real world and live communication gradually. I choose a time after dinner. I turn off the phone, computer, TV, and do something analog. I read paper books, play the guitar, talk to my family, do needlework, or just look out the window. At first, I felt anxious and bored without the usual digital stimulation, but gradually I learned to enjoy the silence and the slow pace of life. His concentration improved, his sleep became deeper, and his relationships with people became warmer because of quality communication without distractions. The practice of complimenting strangers has changed my perception of social interactions and increased my self-esteem in a paradoxical way. Every day I say something nice to the cashier in the store, the bus driver, the hairdresser, the waiter, about their smile, professionalism, hairstyle, friendliness. People instantly blossom from unexpected praise, and the day becomes brighter for everyone involved. And I feel like a person who adds positive to the world instead of complaints and claims. My social skills have improved, and my shyness in communicating with strangers has disappeared. It turned out that doing good is easier than it seems. Every morning, planning the 3 most important things of the day helped me focus on priorities instead of being scattered on trifles. I don't write down a long list of everything that needs to be done, but only the 3 most critical tasks that will bring me closer to my important goals. If I accomplish these 3 things, the day is considered a success, even if the little things are left undone. My productivity has increased because I focus on the important instead of the urgent. And psychologically, it's easier when you know you only have to do 3 things, not an endless list of tasks. I divide large projects into small steps and include one of them in my 3 daily priorities. An evening walk around the neighborhood has become my way of switching between my work and home life. 15 to 20 minutes of slow walking allows me to let go of the stress of the workday and tune into my personal time. I listen to music, podcasts, or just think about something pleasant and observe the world around me. I return home calmer and ready for a quality vacation with my family. It's also an additional physical activity after a sedentary day at the office. In bad weather, I take a walk under an umbrella. Fresh air is always good for you. The rule of 1 new contact a day has expanded my professional and personal network exponentially over the past year. I meet 1 new person every day, a colleague from another department, a neighbor, a course participant, a person in line. Not for profit, but out of sincere interest in people's stories. I learn their names, professions, hobbies, and exchange contacts if there is mutual interest. A year later, I have made a lot of loose connections that sometimes turn into strong friendships or useful professional contacts. The world has become less anonymous and I am less isolated. Daily practice of deep breathing using the 4-7-8 technique has helped me to cope with anxiety and improve my concentration significantly. Inhale for 4 counts, hold your breath for 7, exhale for 8. I repeat the cycle 4 times in the morning and before going to bed. Oxygen gets to the brain better, the nervous system calms down, and muscles relax. I use this technique before important meetings, after conflicts, and when I have insomnia. It works faster and more effectively than any sedatives, and most importantly, it's always available, requiring no additional tools or conditions. Keeping a gratitude list before going to bed has gradually but steadily changed my focus from problems to blessings. I write down 5 things for which I am grateful to fate today, from big events to small pleasures. A delicious lunch, an interesting conversation, sunny weather, the health of my loved ones, and a stable job. At first, I had to strain, especially after difficult days. But my brain has learned to notice the positive even in difficult situations. I fall asleep thinking about good things instead of scrolling through problems. Waking up in the morning has become easier and my overall mood has improved. The practice of digital detox for 1 hour before going to bed has gradually returned control over my time and attention. The phone goes into do not disturb mode, the computer turns off, the TV is silent. I do analog things: read, draw, talk to my family, take a bath, listen to music. The brain has time to rest from the flow of information and prepare for sleep naturally. My mornings are more productive because I don't start the day by checking messages. And my evenings are better because I can spend time socializing and doing hobbies instead of mindless scrolling. Keeping my desktop organized on a daily basis has increased productivity and reduced the stress of searching for things dramatically. Before the end of the day, I put everything in its place: documents in folders, pens in the stand, a cup in the kitchen, and garbage in the trash. In the morning, I sit down at a clean desk and immediately get to work instead of the initial cleaning. My colleagues wonder how I manage to maintain such order, and the secret is simple: 5 minutes in the evening saves 15 minutes in the morning. Psychologically, working in an organized space is much more comfortable and efficient. Greeting the sun through the window in the morning has become my way of setting myself up for a positive day, regardless of the weather. I open the curtains, look at the sky, and mentally say, "Good morning" to the world. Even in cloudy weather, light helps regulate circadian rhythms and signals the body to start the active phase. It is a simple ritual of gratitude for the new day and the opportunities it will bring. The mood immediately becomes more optimistic, and energy appears naturally without caffeine. 15 seconds at the window and the whole day starts right. The practice of one good deed every day for strangers has filled my life with meaning and joy from helping others. I help carry heavy bags, give up my seat in public transport, show a tourist the way, buy coffee for the person in line behind me. These are not great heroic deeds, but simple human gestures of kindness. People thank me sincerely, and I feel like a part of a community, not an isolated individual. The world becomes friendlier when you start being friendly yourself. And karma really works. Good things come back in unexpected ways. My mom always shouted, "Turn off the light!" And I thought it was just greed for electricity. But when I started turning off all the light bulbs that I wasn't using right now, something unexpected happened. My electricity bills were cut in half, but most importantly, my house became more comfortable. Now I only illuminate the area where I am. I read with the light near my chair, cook with the light above the stove, and work with the table lamp. The rest of the house is gently immersed in semi-darkness, which creates an atmosphere of tranquility. My friends say that my home looks like a romantic restaurant, but in reality I just save electricity and nerves. My grandfather could disassemble and reassemble any mechanism in the world, but he didn't know how to send an email. Now, every morning I learn one technical thing that I didn't understand yesterday: router settings, phone functions, computer programs. YouTube University is open around the clock, and my fear of technology is melting like ice in the sun. Last week, I installed the operating system on my laptop myself without calling that guy who knows about computers. The feeling of being technically capable is worth more than any iPhone. Grandpa would be proud. A pencil behind my ear is my new superpower against forgetfulness and procrastination. I always keep a simple pencil behind my right ear like a real builder or carpenter. When an idea, thought, or task comes to me, I immediately write it down on anything: a napkin, my hand, the edge of a newspaper. There's no need to look for a pen around the house, unlock my phone, or launch apps. The pencil is always ready to go, the battery doesn't run out, and the interface doesn't glitch. At first, my colleagues laughed at my retro style, but now half the office walks around with pencils behind their ears. The old methods are the most reliable. Every evening, I wind up my grandfather's mechanical watch, which I inherited and has been gathering dust in a drawer for years. This daily routine has become a meditation and a connection to the past at the same time. 15 turns of the crown and the movement is ready to measure the next 24 hours. The watch ticks on my wrist, reminding me of the passage of time without the intrusive notifications of a smartphone. When people ask me the time, I elegantly look at my wrist instead of nervously fumbling for my phone in my pockets. I feel like a gentleman from the last century in a world of digital chaos. In the bus, I always sit by the window and play the game, make up a story about a passerby. I see a woman with a big bag, She's a florist, she's in a hurry to get to a wedding, she's got roses for the bride in her bag. A man in a suit with a folder is a lawyer, defending an innocent man from an unjust accusation. A teenager with a guitar is a future rock star, going to a band rehearsal. The road to work is no longer boring, and my imagination has developed to incredible proportions. Now I write short stories inspired by these chance encounters. Public transportation has become a creative laboratory instead of hard labor. My cat has taught me the best morning stretch without any yoga courses or instructors. Every day I watch him wake up. First, he stretches for a long time, arches his back, stretches his paws, and yowls with his whole mouth. He started repeating these movements right after waking up in bed. The spine straightens, the muscles stretch, and the blood flows naturally. No complicated asanas or special clothes. I just imitate the most perfect stretching master in the world. My back stopped hurting and my mornings became more cheerful. The cat purrs happily when he sees me doing my feline exercise. Finally, a person has learned to live right. Every time I get in the elevator, I start counting backwards from 100. 73, 72, 71. I managed to reach my floor by about 50. This strange habit was born out of boredom, but it turned out to be useful for training concentration. The brain focuses on a single task, rejecting worries and anxieties. It's also a good way to test your reaction. If you lose count, it means you're overtired and need to rest. The elevator is turned from a stuffy box into a meditation capsule. Sometimes I deliberately go to higher floors to count longer. When I wash in the shower, I always sing one song from beginning to end. I don't hum to myself, but give a real concert with full dedication and emotion. The acoustics of the bathroom make the voice more voluminous, and the hot water relaxes the ligaments. Over the year, my repertoire has grown to 50 songs of various genres. My mood after such a solo performance is always high and my lungs are well ventilated. Sometimes the neighbors applaud through the wall. Apparently, they appreciate the efforts. Showering has become not only a hygienic but also an artistic procedure. I jump over every crack in the sidewalk, just like in my childhood when I believed it would save my mom from trouble. Now I do it for coordination, balance, and just for fun. Passers-by look at a grown man playing children's games, but I don't care. My legs have become more agile, my reflexes faster, and my inner child happy. The way home turned into an obstacle course and a source of positive emotions. When the day has been hard, these childish jumps bring back a sense of lightness and carefree. Why do adults stop playing? It's so much fun. My grandmother always said, "Tell your problems to the flowers. They won't judge." Now every morning I water my houseplants and tell them about yesterday's troubles, today's plans, and tomorrow's worries. The ficus learns about conflicts at work. The violet listens to romantic experiences, and the cactus patiently accepts financial worries. It's better than psychotherapy. Plants don't give advice, don't judge, they just listen and grow. The flowers have become more lush with such attention, and I am calmer with the opportunity to speak out. The house has turned into a green psychologist's office. I always keep a small coin in my pocket and twist it with my fingers when I am thinking or stressed. It's like a rosary for nervous people. The rhythmic movements calm them down, and the tactile sensations help them concentrate. The coin is worn to a shine from constant use, but it works better than any anti-stress toy. During important negotiations, I keep it in my pocket and the excitement recedes. When I have to make a difficult decision, the coin helps me collect my thoughts. It is my talisman and therapist in one tiny form. Every time I'm waiting at a traffic light, I look at the clouds and look for familiar shapes in them. A rabbit, a dragon, an ice cream, a celebrity's face. The sky offers a new free movie theater every day. Other pedestrians are staring at their phones, but I am enjoying the natural art above my head. My imagination develops, my powers of observation sharpen, and my eyes take a break from the screens. Sometimes I take pictures of particularly successful sky sculptures and show them to my friends. They wonder how I managed to notice such beauty among the bustle of the city. The secret is simple. You just have to raise your head. Before every meal, I look at my plate for 5 seconds and mentally thank everyone who has contributed to the creation of this dish. The farmer who grew the vegetables, the driver who brought them, the shop assistant, and myself for cooking. Food tastes better when you realize how many people work to put it on your table. It's a short meditation of gratitude that puts you in a positive frame of mind and helps with digestion. Overeating has decreased because I perceive every bite consciously, not automatically. 5 seconds of pause make eating a sacred ritual. I keep a bottle of water on my desk and take one sip every time I touch the computer mouse. Click, sip, click, sip. This simple reflex has turned into a hydration system. I click on the mouse hundreds of times during the day, so I drink the same number of sips of water. I don't have to remember to drink. It works automatically. Headaches from dehydration have disappeared, my concentration has improved, and my skin has become fresher. My colleagues are amazed at my discipline, but in fact, this is the easiest life hack in the world. The mouse has become not only a computer device, but also a health reminder. Instead of saying fine to the question, how are you? Zrania, I always answer with one specific detail about my day. I found a new delicious coffee shop near my house. I finished an interesting book about space. I learned how to make carbonara without eggs. Conversations become more lively, people remember me more often, and topics for further communication appear. Instead of a template exchange of politeness, it turns into real communication. It also makes you notice the good moments in every day so that you have something to tell. Life becomes more interesting when you know that you have something to talk about. My father used to say, "To the early riser, God gives," but I thought it was just old-fashioned wisdom for retirees. Until I started waking up at 5 in the morning without an alarm clock, just out of habit. The first 2 weeks were hell. I wanted to die and wake up at 10 o'clock. But then, magic happened. At 5 in the morning, the world belongs to you alone. No one texts, calls, or distracts you. 2 hours of absolute silence for the most important things: reading, planning, creativity. By 7 in the morning, I have time to do more than I did during the whole day. And when others are just waking up, I'm ready to conquer the world with a sense of accomplishment. My aunt used to collect magnets from different countries on the refrigerator. I collect new routes home. Every day I come home from work through different streets, discovering the neighborhood I've lived in for 5 years. Yesterday I found a tiny bakery that smells like croissants. The day before that I found an antique shop with vintage postcards. After a month of such walks, my hometown has ceased to be a boring scenery and turned into a treasure trove of surprises. I know every yard, every street cat, every interesting graffiti. My feet lead me along new paths, and my head takes a break from GPS and the usual autopilot routes. It is impossible to get lost. All roads lead home anyway. Every morning I stand in the mirror and tell myself one nice thing that I usually expect to hear from others. You look great today. Your idea was brilliant. You did a great job with that project. At first, I felt like a complete idiot, talking to my own reflection like a mental patient. But gradually, the voice of the inner critic became quieter and my self-confidence grew louder. I don't have to wait for compliments from my boss, friends, or partner. I can give them to myself. The mirror has become not an enemy that shows shortcomings, but an ally that reminds you of your strengths. Conversations with myself turned out to be the most useful in my life. In the bus, I always give up my seat to the first person to get on after me, regardless of age or gender. A young guy with a backpack? Please take a seat. A middle-aged woman? You have the seat. A teenager with headphones? You are welcome. People are surprised to thank me. I'm not a pensioner or disabled, so why should I give in? I just like to make the world a little more polite without grand gestures. Standing for 20 minutes doesn't kill you, and a stranger's smile makes the day brighter. Sometimes people refuse to give up their seat, so we both stand and smile at this absurd situation of mutual politeness. Instead of the usual bye or goodbye, I always say something specific to people as I leave. Good luck with your presentation tomorrow. Enjoy your weekend. Give my regards to your wife. These personalized wishes are remembered much better than template phrases. People feel that I really listened to their stories and cared about their affairs. Acquaintances are becoming closer, and the reputation of an attentive person pays dividends in all areas of life. I had to develop a memory for the details of other people's lives, but it turned out to be a useful superpower for networking and friendship. Every time I open the refrigerator, I take 3 deep breaths before I pick something up. It's a simple pause between impulse and action that has saved me from endless snacking out of boredom. During these few seconds, I have time to ask myself, am I really hungry or do I just want to take my mind off work? In 70% of cases, I close the fridge empty-handed and get back to work. I lost 5 kilograms without diets or prohibitions, just by adding a micro pause of mindfulness. The fridge is no longer a snack machine and has become a place of deliberate food choice. My grandfather always carried a small notebook and a pencil in his pocket, writing down everything interesting he saw during the day. I adopted this habit but modernized it. Now I write down not events, but emotions from them. The joy of the first sip of morning coffee, surprise at the unexpected smile of a stranger, satisfaction from solving a difficult task. At the end of the day, I reread these micro diaries of emotions and realized how many pleasant things happened, even on an ordinary Friday. Life became brighter when I started recording not only facts but also my feelings about them. I play a personal game called Find 10 Green Objects on my way to work. A green car, tree leaves, traffic lights, a pharmacy sign, a passerby's jacket. I look everywhere. This childhood game has sharpened my observation skills to an incredible level. Now I notice architectural details, changes in nature, new shops, and interesting people. My brain stopped working on autopilot and switched to the mode of active exploration of the environment. I can change the color depending on my mood: red for energy, blue for calm, yellow for optimism. My commute has turned into a quest. Every evening I move one thing in the apartment to a new place. Today the vase moved from the windowsill to the dresser. Yesterday the book changed shelves. These micro changes keep the house in a state of constant renewal without major repairs and high costs. The brain notices the changes and perceives the space as alive and dynamic. My friends say that I always have something new in my apartment, even though I haven't bought anything for months. The secret is that old things look fresh in new places. The house has become a creative laboratory instead of a static set.